Hey guys, how you doing? My name is Lena. Welcome back to another video. So today we're going to talk about other books that I've also given 5 stars to that I rarely talk about now. I know, complicated title, maybe. But we're going to kind of revisit some books that I actually love, but I don't talk about them as often as, for example, Sword of Kaigen, the Sun Eater series, Sufficiently Advanced Magic, Jade City, you know, Poppy War, Cradle. Not those. Those I think I talk about them a lot. So we're going to talk about the other 5-star books. But the thing is, I'm too lazy to grab them, so I probably just grab the ones from this shelf, not the other ones. Lena from the future, when he's editing this, is going to be so mad. But that's a problem for another day. So the first one that I have here is actually World Sea by Max Brooks. I love this book. Love this book. I think it's one of those books that started my love for mixed media. It's actually a compendium of interviews, oral interviews with survivors of the zombie outbreak, and it's just so great in general. Like, I love the whole concept of this book. I hate the movie with a fucking passion. Like, do not even bring that up. That doesn't exist. It's just fucking terrible. Holy shit. But the book, love it. Then of course, I do have to say that I think I've talked about this one a lot still. But Blindisght, Peter Watts, sci-fi horror, very weird sci-fi horror, extremely weird. It's about checking out a distress, not a distress signal, but a contact signal from outside. I think it was solar space, but man, this book is good. This book is so good. I haven't talked about these ones in a while. I do have them here, wait. Peter F. Hamilton, the Commonwealth Saga, especially the zoology. I love it so much. This is the first one, Pandora's Star. If you like world building, science fiction world building, this is a series for you. Like, it's so complex. So complex. Reminds me a lot of Mass Effect every time that I think about it. Like, the feeling is the same, but there's just so much. It's basically about investigating a star that has basically vanished from the sky. Like, 1 second it was there, 1 second it was not. It didn't explore anything, so they're checking it out. It's so good. A graphic novel here, Sandman. This is my favorite graphic novel of all time. I don't talk about this one enough, but since the TV show, man, I've fallen in love with it again. Like, the show was so good. So good in so many different levels. I loved it. It was fantastic. If you love the source material, you basically are going to follow Morpheus, one of the Eternals, the God of Dreams. It's fucking amazing. Check out the show, please. Then probably the only like Therese Anderson book that you will ever see in this channel, Elantris and Warbreaker. I think these are the best books. I'm sorry, I know this is controversial, especially like nobody likes this book, but I love this book. And the magic system in Warbreaker, so fucking great. I'm actually pretty pleased that we are getting sequels to these books. They are standalones as right now, but man, these are great. Abandoned city that is dying because the magic is dead. A lot of politics and a settled marriage. It's just weird, but both of these, fantastic. The Lives of Locke Lamora. I don't talk about this trilogy enough, but I actually love it so much. I'm super excited for book 4 whenever it's coming out, The Throne of Evelyn. I just love it so much, and it's weird because it's definitely character driven, but I just love Locke and John so much that I just don't care. It's fucking amazing, and I just cannot wait for book 4. Damn it, my copy of The Passage is kind of behind some books, but The Passage by Justin Korn, this is one of my favorite trilogies of all time. I love this book with a passion. This first one, like, you cannot even imagine. I was obsessed with it for years. I still love it to death. Like, it's just so good. Justin Korn writes so beautifully. But this is basically a story about a vampire apocalypse. But it's just so good, dude. It's just so good. I just love it. Check it out. It's fucking great. I think everybody knows this, but I'm a huge Percy Jackson fan, like super huge. Actually, my cat is named Percy after these Perseus. Please, I love this so much. Like, you cannot even imagine. I'm so excited for the TV show. I cannot wait. I also really want to read the new book that Rick Riordan has published, The Last Descendant, something like that. I own it, but I still haven't read it. But Percy Jackson, my number one like series from childhood. I was the kid obsessed with Greek mythology. Yes, it was me. Poof, it's up here, okay? It's up here, but I just don't want to get them out of the fucking box. Lord of the Rings, I love it with a passion. Like you can see Sam up there, it was a gift, but I still love him so much. Lord of the Rings, I love that series. I do prefer the films though. I think they were just everything. For a moment I was just obsessed with them, but I still love them today. I do kind of still prefer to just sit and watch the trilogies instead of just reading the books, but I still love them. Then, Salem's Lot, the only Stephen King book that I've loved with a passion. I was also obsessed with the movie that has so many years. Well, it's not that old, but I was so obsessed with it. This one, I love it to death. This is basically about a town that is being overtaken by vampires slowly, and it's just so cool, man. Love this book. A book that I've read a couple of years ago and still think about it, Vita Nostra. Magical but horror school. It's so weird, very physical, very metaphysical and metaphorical. It's just weird as fuck, but I just love it. Also, be ready because some disgusting scenes here and there, but it's just so good, man. Then, because it's far, but Metro 2033, one of my favorite books of all time. I love it with a passion. It's basically in post-apocalyptic Russia. People are living in the metro. Dude, Artyom was just like my childhood hero. I still love this first book. The rest of the series is not worth it. Don't read it. But this first book is everything. I read it, well, not read it, reread it very recently and still love it with a passion. Then, I don't think I have actually ever talked about this series, but Nocturna by Guillermo del Toro and Chuck Hogan. Oh my god, this first book, like the rest of the series, is a bit all over the place, but I'm sure that you've heard about the show of adaptation, The Strain. Well, it's based around these books. And this first book is basically about a plane that lands and everyone is dead and no one knows why, and vampires. Love it so much. Yes, you can tell that I have a lot of favorites about vampires. If you have any recommendations, please just let me know. It's been a while since I talked about the series, but the Demon Cycle is very divided. It's very divided, the fandom in general with this series, because after book 3, you either love it or hate it. I'm in the I loved it category. The first book is very plot driven, but the next books, besides the 5th one, are very character driven books, and I still love them all the same. I actually think book 2 is fucking great, even though we get to follow like our evil character as he's growing up. But it was so interesting. I actually really love this series. I will be reading The Desert Prince next month. I'm finally ready. Oh, I don't know where my copy is. But the Exiled Queen, the demon, is not cycle. That's a demon cycle. But the Shatter Realms. Is it Shatter? Oh, that's the sequel. I don't know. But this series by Sindhu William Chima, I love book 2 and book 3. Basically, like book 1, definitely nothing out there. I was just like, okay, sure. Then I read book 2, 3, and 4 in consecutive days. I just couldn't stop, especially book 2. I thought it was fantastic. It has like a magical school setting, but it's just so good in general. So good. Then I think I've never talked about this series, but this is Fables, the graphic novels. Love them. I read them through, well, after playing The Wolf Among Us, and they're so good. If you just like a very twisted fairy tales, this is basically the fairy tales living in our world, but they're so fucked up. So fucked up. You'll love it. You'll love it. Then, of course, The Expanse. It's been a while since I've talked about it because the last book came out several months ago and I didn't love it. Like, I thought it was good, but I didn't love it. So it left like a bitter taste on my mouth. I don't know, it was fine, but I love The Expanse, my favorite sci-fi series of all time. I just love it. And also the TV show is fucking great. Both for different reasons. They are not the same, but both of them are so good. Both of them so good. Then Bitches by B. Schwab. I don't like B. Schwab. Well, I don't love B. Schwab. I do like her books in general, but I don't love them. I always prefer the premise. But Bitches is fucking great. Bitches is great. You basically follow two friends on college, and they decided to start studying how to develop superpowers, and they turn into villains. Sounds cheesy, but it's actually fucking great. Definitely check this one out. I mean, who hasn't heard about this book? But still check it out, it's just so good. Then of course, recently I've talked about this series a lot. Well, not a lot, but a bit more again, because I've just been reading In the Shadow of Lightning but Promise of Blood. Love that trilogy so much. So much, you cannot even imagine. You know what? I'm getting book one. I'm rereading it. Fuck it. Then I talk about this one in very weird occasions, but Annihilation. Wait, yes. Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. I actually love Annihilation. The first book, the rest doesn't exist. Just like with Metro 2030. The rest doesn't matter. But Annihilation, I just love how weird it is. It's just, it has all the elements to just be your favorite. I just love it. I'm not even going to explain it. It's weird. I really also like the film though. Then I will not grab it. But that one, The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington. Extremely underrated trilogy. Extremely good. It has so many different magic systems, timelines, plots. It's just fucking great. It's a lot to explain in just like one or two sentences, but definitely check it out if you like fantasy in general. It's just so underrated. Is Seveneves here? It is not, right? Nope, it's there. But Seveneves, I love this sci-fi book. It's kind of a generational story. Earth is going to shit basically after the moon just was hit by a meteor. But it explodes basically, and the constant like meteor shower that it's getting is making everything burn, so humans have to flee. But they basically make like a conjoined effort, and they send this ship to space to start civilization again. It has like a generational jump that a lot of people don't like, but I actually love it. I love the book in general. I do have to say that I prefer the first part, but I just love it in general. I don't care. Then it's been a while since I talked about this one, but The Queen of the Tearling, my favorite YA series of all time, along with Percy Jackson. But Percy Jackson is more middle grade than anything. But this series is fucking amazing. One of those few YA gems that are so good. I do have to say the ending pissed me off the first time that I read it, but the first two books are just so good. So good. If you are not into YA, I think you will still enjoy them. I've read them not that long ago and still really like them. But this series is just one of those that holds with time, and it's just good. Like, it's just good. Technically, it's not YA. But it does feel a little bit YA. It has like the same vibe as The Passage, and that's probably why I like it so much. Oof, they're too far down. But the Themis Files, I love this trilogy, especially book 2. Book 2 I think is fucking fantastic. It's mixed media, another series that started my love for mixed media. Sci-fi, gigantic robots fighting. It's great. I also love Pacific Rim. Then one of my favorites, like, I love this book so much, The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I know it's a bit controversial, and it's a very weird book, and it's a little bit complicated, but I just love it so much. I'm planning on rereading it this month once I finish my TBR books, because I've been craving like reading something that I really love. And I just love this book so much. But it's basically kind of investigating a murder mystery inside a house. But the thing is, every time you go to sleep, you wake up in a different body. So weird, it's so good. Another weird one. Well, it's not really weird, but this is sci-fi. This is Hench, and this is about superheroes, and the superheroes are the villains. If you like The Boys, you will love this. But this is so good. I just love the main character. She is fucking smart, and she's so great. Then I get into the end, the Southern's Book Club Guide to Slaying Vampires, along with my best friend's Exorcism, but mostly the first one. Again, vampires. had to happen, but I just love it in general. Both of these I just love completely. One of them is about housewives trying to kill a vampire, and the second one is about following the main character, and her best friend is actually possessed. Oh my god, so heart-wrenching, the second one, so good. And the last one of this speedrun is going to be Crown of Feathers, which is actually a real YA series, and I loved this first book. Like, the second book is also great, but this first book I just really liked it in general. I still have to read book 3, but man, it's so good. It's about Phoenix Riders. I was so surprised by this one. It's just so great in so many different ways. So yeah, these were basically all my 5 stars that I don't talk about that often. So do you have a favorite book that you're just not thinking all the time about it, but just still really love it? So please just let me know down in the comments below. And if you have also read one of these books, just let me know. I feel a bit alone with some of this. But as always, I will see you in the next one. Bye.